My son excludes me from his wedding because I refused to accept that he was marrying his brother's girlfriend. But he made the mistake of lying to his grandfather. Now he has no one to pay for the ceremony. I had always believed that I had a loving family. My family consists of me, 55 years old, my wife Sophia, 50 years old, and our two sons, Yuret, 28 years old, and Nathan, 25 years old. My wife and I have spent our entire lives trying to create a good home for our children and have instilled in them what we thought were good values and virtues. I can't help but wonder if perhaps our upbringing is somehow responsible for what happened, because it is so heartbreaking and cruel that it has torn the whole family apart. Yuret and Nathan always had a loving relationship. I'm not saying it was always perfect, but it was like any other sibling relationship. They had their secrets, competition, and memories. They were very close, or at least that's what Sophia and I thought. Nathan showed some signs of jealousy toward Yuret, but I attributed it to normal sibling behavior. My wife agreed with me, and it was never serious enough for us to consider it in the first place. Simple things, like when Jared was selected for the school soccer team. Nathan was happy but down for a few days because he felt bad. Sophia and I sat him down and told him he couldn't expect to have his brother's skills because his brother would always be older than him. He understood what we were saying, and it wasn't that he was vindictive or malicious about it. It wasn't always the younger one feeling jealous of the older one. There were plenty of occasions when the opposite happened. For example, Yuret never had very good social skills with girls. He was a shy and nervous boy in that aspect, while Nathan was more outgoing and always had better luck with girls compared to Jared. Jared used to feel upset and vent about it. Then my wife and I would go and advise him. What I'm trying to say is that we were not a perfect family, but we were what I would consider a normal family. We were happy together. We had our fights and bad days. We reconciled, and most importantly, we supported each other through thick and thin. When Jared went to college, he underwent a drastic change in personality. He became more outgoing, went to parties, went to clubs, and was finally coming out of his shell. Sophia and I were surprised by the change, but very happy for him. It was in college that he met his now ex-girlfriend, Haley. She was 2 years younger than him, and apparently he felt attracted to her when he first saw her. I don't know the private details of their relationship, but I know that he introduced her to the family around the second year. When he was 22, Haley was 20. She was a warm and kind girl, and both Sophia and I liked her. She and Jared looked good together, and we could tell he was very happy with her. Later that day, Jared came to me and confessed that she was the love of his life, and he was sure she was the one he was going to marry. I told him I was happy for him, and also mentioned that I liked Haley. However, my advice as a father was not to move too fast and to wait a bit before proposing to her. I told him they were both young and that as they grew older, their beliefs and perspectives might change. So it was important for him to be completely sure that they were compatible in the long term and not just in love. We saw Haley a few more times over the next year and a half. Now during this time, Nathan was not at home. Both sons had gone to college in other states. Nathan couldn't come at that time and therefore did not meet Haley. A year and a half later, Jared and Haley started having problems. He didn't share them with us but simply stopped bringing her around and seemed tense all the time. Whenever we asked him what was going on, he just said they were going through a rough patch. He said nothing more, and my wife and I knew not to press him to share things he wasn't comfortable with. A few months later, we found out that Jared and Haley had broken up. He was inconsolable for a while, and Sophia and I made regular visits to see him, helping him cope with his heartbreak. She was his first girlfriend, and it took him a long time to get over the relationship. We kept asking him what the reason for the breakup was, but he never told us anything. Their relationship lasted a little over 4 years, and it took him another year or more to fully get over it. Now he is dating a woman named Mariam, who is 26 years old, and he seems happy and at peace with her. So Sophia and I are glad and relieved. Nathan, on the other hand, had a series of relationships and flings, never being serious or stable enough to reach the level of commitment where he would actually introduce someone to us. We let him be because he was an adult, and we assumed he knew what he was doing. What we missed, however, was that Yaret was trying to avoid spending time with Nathan since his breakup with Haley. We didn't realize it at first and attributed it to coincidence. But in hindsight, I understand what was going on. Yaret avoided attending family gatherings and didn't come home often. He had been an introvert and didn't particularly like these gatherings, so we never pressured him. He stopped coming home and used to send us tickets to fly to his place. This continued. Both Sophia and I didn't realize that something was seriously wrong with our son. There were a few times when I told him he needed to come home, but he always made some excuse, and I attributed it to his busy schedule. However, Nathan's behavior remained the same. He came home regularly, and nothing he said or did made us think there was tension between him and Jared. Things came to light just a few days ago when Nathan gave us some news. He told us he wanted to introduce us to someone and hoped Sophia and I would accept her. We were both quite excited because it was the first time he was introducing us to his girlfriend. We were looking forward to meeting her. But when I saw who it was, I felt like someone had ripped out my vocal cords. I was completely speechless. He came home with none other than Haley and dropped the bomb that Haley and Harry and he were going to get married and that she was the one he wanted to introduce us to. Sophia and I were speechless, and I kept staring at both of them for at least a couple of minutes. Part of me thought he was joking and that this was a big prank on us, but I knew from the look on his face that he was serious. The first thing that came out of my mouth was whether Jared knew or not. Haley looked very uncomfortable, and Nathan said that Jared had known about this for a long time and was fine with it. Now, I know my children very well, and I knew there was no way Jared was okay with this. I told Nathan to stop lying and that I didn't believe what he was saying. He lost his temper with us and started accusing us of favoritism and not being happy for him. He said that when Haley and Jared were a couple, Sophia and I couldn't stop praising her, and now we couldn't even look her in the face, even though she was still the same person. He said he expected us to congratulate him, and that we weren't even accepting his relationship, much less supporting it. He told us we were hypocrites for accepting Yaret's relationship, but having such an extreme reaction to his. I told him that what he was doing was unforgivable and, frankly, nothing less than a sin in my eyes. I wanted Sophia to back me up, but when I looked, she wasn't there. 5 minutes later, she came downstairs with all of Nathan's important documents and threw them in his face, telling him never to show his face to her again. He said he had come to invite us to his wedding, but that we didn't deserve an invitation. I said that attending such a wedding would be one of the worst nightmares of my life, so I was glad he was withdrawing the invitation, because we wouldn't have attended anyway. He left in a rage with Haley and Sophia, and I just looked at each other in disbelief. By the time I could process what had happened, Sophia had already called Yaret. She asked him if he knew, and he said that Haley had cheated on him with Nathan, which was why they had broken up. He said that at first, he didn't know that she had cheated on him with Nathan, only that she had cheated on him with someone. Yaret said they had tried to overcome it, but it kept haunting him, and he realized he didn't want to live like that for the rest of his life. He begged her to tell him who the lover was, but she flatly refused to reveal his identity. All this stress had affected Yaret, and he eventually decided to break up with her. 2 months after their breakup, she was already in a relationship with Nathan, and that was when he found out that his own brother was the one his girlfriend had cheated on him with. I asked him if he ever talked to Nathan about this, and he said yes. I asked him why he did it, and he said that Haley ultimately wasn't family and he could expect her to do something like that, but never Nathan. Nathan's only response to him was that we all do horrible things when we're in love, and that was the last time the two brothers spoke to each other. I asked Jared why he never confided this to us, and he said he didn't want us to think poorly of him. He felt it was a personal issue with Nathan and believed involving us wouldn't have been the right thing to do. Hearing him talk about having to be the bigger person, even though he had been wronged, broke me inside. He had tears in his eyes, and I apologized for not being a good father to him and for not questioning the distance between him and Nathan all these years. It has been 3 days since Nathan and Haley visited us, and both Sophia and I are in shock. We have decided that we will not attend the wedding. I told her that personally, I don't want to have anything to do with Nathan and Haley, and that to me, they're dead. Yaret, on the other hand, told us not to ruin our relationship with Nathan over this. For Sophia and me, this is the right thing to do. Yesterday, I received a call from my parents. They live in the South, and although we don't see each other much, we are close. When my children were born, they established funds for both of them, which was supposed to be for their college education. It hurt me a little, because I felt that as a father, it was my duty to prepare and save for them, and I also set up funds for them. In the end, the boys ended up getting partial scholarships and used my funds, so both of them have the funds established by my parents intact. My father had told them both on their 21st birthdays that that money was theirs to use as they saw fit, and that there would be no conditions on how they should spend it. Well, apparently, Nathan was planning to use that money to fund his wedding to Haley. My father called me to give me a stern talk about our attendance at the wedding. Nathan had complained to him about our lack of support, and Dad was furious. He was practically yelling during the call, saying that he had raised me better than to abandon my own son, especially on the most important day of his life. He said that Haley was a lovely girl and that I should trust my son's judgment and not create a problem just because I didn't like my future daughter-in-law. He sounded pretty angry, and I was angry too. I couldn't believe that he was taking Nathan and Haley's side after what happened, but as he continued to rant, I realized that he probably didn't know the whole story between Yaret, Haley, and Nathan. And of course, how could he? Yaret hadn't told anyone in the family, and Nathan hadn't been the kind of person to be honest and open about the whole situation. I put the phone on mute and asked Sophia if we should tell my father the truth or just let it be. Sophia said he should know. Otherwise, everyone would be criticizing us and Jared for not supporting the family, when in reality, Nathan was the one making the mistake. When Dad finished what he had to say, I told him I needed to share something with him, but he had to be willing to listen with an open mind. Then I explained how Jared and Haley met, how Nathan wasn't even there at the time, and how Jared had brought Haley into our lives as his girlfriend. I recounted the problems they faced in their relationship and ultimately their breakup. I also told him what Jared had revealed about Nathan and Haley's engagement. At first, Dad didn't believe us and accused us of favoritism, claiming we were making up a story to save ourselves. He demanded proof of our so-called theory. Sophia pulled out her phone and found a photo from one of our gatherings with Haley and Jared. She sent it to Dad. He didn't say anything, just sighed deeply over the phone and told us he would get back to us later. Early this morning, Sophia received a call from Dad, and she relayed the entire conversation to me. Things didn't look good for Nathan. After our conversation, Dad had called Nathan and Haley to ask if what we had said was true. Nathan tried to defend himself and lie, but Dad realized he was lying. Then he told Nathan that he wouldn't receive a single penny from the fund that had been set up for him. Nathan started crying on the phone, begging his grandfather to reconsider, but Dad stood firm. He said he wouldn't pay for a wedding based on a family betrayal. Nathan lost his temper and reminded Dad that on his 21st birthday, he was told he was free to use the money however he wanted, and this was how he wanted to use it. He argued that it was unfair not to receive the money despite being promised it 4 years ago. Nathan tried to manipulate my father by saying things like, "You're not a man of your word if you don't give me the money as promised," and insisting that it was his right to have the funds. The thing about my father is that he has always had a bad temper, and now, given his age, he doesn't have the patience to deal with this kind of drama. Nathan's constant complaints and attempts to pressure him had pushed him to the limit. Dad told him that initially he had thought he wouldn't give the money for the wedding, but that he might still give it to him in the future. However, because Nathan was acting so arrogantly and without remorse, Dad decided he wouldn't give him the money at all. To make matters worse, he told Nathan that the money would now go to Yaret. It was probably then that Nathan realized he had dug his own grave. He started apologizing, saying that he had spoken out of anger, but it was too late. Dad didn't relent, and I know Nathan will never see a single penny of that fund in his life. Dad had called basically to inform Sophia about these recent developments and thanked us for telling him the truth. He said that if he had given that money to Nathan and had even indirectly been responsible for funding the wedding, the guilt would have consumed him. He also told us that he was planning to make the background of Nathan and Haley's entire relationship public within the family so that their true nature would be exposed. Sophia was a little worried about this plan because she felt that Yaret might not agree. She pointed out that Yaret had moved on, and dragging him back into this mess could do more harm than good. However, Dad said he had already spoken to Yaret, and Yaret had given him his blessing, saying it was okay for the family to know and that Dad should do what he thought was right. Dad was determined to make the matter public and only wanted to know if we had any objections. Sophia said she was okay with whatever Dad wanted to do since Nathan was dead to us. She added that she would talk to me and inform him of her thoughts on the matter. I told her I was more than happy with what Dad had decided to do. I know this may seem petty, but infidelity has always disgusted me. Knowing that my own son was involved in an affair with his brother's girlfriend made me lose all respect and love for Nathan. I can't help but feel that there might be something wrong with the way we raised him to turn out like this. I wish this had never happened, but I know that at this point, my priority should be to take an unequivocal stand in favor of Yaret and not worry about the family's reputation. The worst that can happen is that people judge Nathan for what he's done, and in my opinion, he should be judged. His actions are unforgivable, and no amount of redemption can save him. I know this is going to turn into a big drama involving the whole family, and I'm afraid of the repercussions it might have on Yaret. But if Jared is okay with it, then I have no right to say no. I would give anything not to be in this situation, but I feel powerless, and this is how things are now. Update 1. We all received a forwarded message from Dad. I am copying the full message here. I have always loved my grandchildren and have tried not to be biased. I'm not saying that I've been a very present grandfather, but Judith and I have always tried to love and care for them as best we could. When Yaret, Nathan, Bianca, Roxana, and Tyler were born, we established funds for each of them to use as they saw fit. This "as they saw fit" had an unspoken condition that we would not allow any of them to use this money for immoral activity. I wanted to give this money to Nathan for his wedding to Haley, who seemed like a very sweet girl when Judith and I met her. I was more than happy to contribute to his life. Imagine my shock when I found out a few days ago that Haley was actually Yaret's ex-girlfriend, and that Nathan and she got together because she cheated on Yaret. It seems so unbelievable that my first reaction was not to believe this information. However, to my total dismay, this is indeed how things have happened, and now I am withdrawing my offer to fund the wedding. What I choose to do with that fund now is my decision, and none of you have any right to it. I am also informing you that I will not attend the wedding because I cannot see myself participating in such a union. It was imperative for me to put this information out in case Nathan and Haley try to defame me or question my principles and ethics. What you do with this information is up to you. This message has been forwarded to everyone we consider close family. I don't know if he has also sent this message to Nathan and Haley, and I am not interested in knowing if they are aware of what has hit them or not. My sister called me when she received the message and asked me what the hell was going on. I told her that Sophia and I found out a few days ago and were as shocked as anyone else. She is understandably angry with Nathan and has said that she will not attend the wedding. I told her that Sophia and I wouldn't be attending the wedding either, and she sighed with relief. She felt that maybe my wife and I were okay with this, or were willing to tolerate Nathan for appearance's sake. I told her that we had cut all ties with him and that we no longer had anything to do with him. She asked me if I knew if Nathan had received the message or not. and I told her I didn't know and that I wasn't particularly interested. I don't know who else has received this message, and I don't know or care how Nathan will fund his wedding. All I know is that I raised him better, and if he has chosen this path for himself, then he is not my son. Edit: Judith is my mother, and Bianca, Roxana, and Tyler are my sister's children. Update 2. The wedding has been canceled. Nathan came to the house 10 days after my dad sent the message. He broke down in front of us, saying that we are the reason for his unhappiness and misery. Apparently, the recipients included some extended family members as well, and they all refused to attend the wedding. There was a lot of shame, insults, and Haley couldn't handle the stress. She canceled the wedding and has not been responding to Nathan's calls or messages. I can't say I felt bad for him or that I wanted to console him. I simply didn't know how to stop his crying and throw him out of the house. I'm glad I didn't, because I found out that Haley had told her family a completely different version of the story. She said that the breakup with Jared happened a year before it actually did, and that he knew everything about her relationship with Nathan, was okay with it. Everyone in her family believed her stories, but when the truth about her relationship came out, they were all disgusted with her. She has been disowned by her parents and cut off by her family. Her cousins, with whom she was apparently quite close, have stopped talking to her. Her friends, too, who had a good relationship with Yaret, used to hang out together frequently. Her friends also thought that the breakup between Haley and Yaret had been mutually decided. But since Dad sent the message, even the friends have abandoned her. She is miserable and completely alone, and Nathan is blaming us. He says we had no business involving ourselves unnecessarily in his life, and that his life was ruined because of us. Both Haley and he have lost all the goodwill and respect of the family they were close to. I told him it might seem easier to blame us, but the fact is he dug his own grave when he decided to get involved with his brother's girlfriend. He tried to make us believe in true love. Sophia didn't budge. She was quite firm in her dealings with him and said he was the only one to blame and that he was a repulsive creature to her. I couldn't believe how my son could have turned into that. I tried asking him again why he chose to date Haley, knowing full well about her and Jared. He had no answer and said that Jared was the one who held a grudge for too long and that these things keep happening in adulthood. I asked him if he regretted breaking his brother's heart, and the only response he had was to ask us if we felt remorse for sabotaging his marriage. I knew then that it was a lost cause, and that no amount of understanding or conversation would make him see reality. I told him this was the last time the doors of my house were open to him. He was free to do what he wanted and go wherever he wanted, but he had no place in my life after what he had done. He said we loved Yaret more than him and that we were making it so obvious it was hilarious. I told him we had always treated them equally, but if he thinks we are playing favorites, he is wrong. I told him we are on the side of what is right, not Yaret, and just because he can't see or realize that what he did was wrong doesn't make it right. He clearly wasn't interested in anything I had to say. He looked at us with disdain and left. This happened last night, and he has blocked Sophia and me everywhere. I can't say it doesn't hurt to lose my family and see it fall apart in front of my eyes, but I feel powerless because I know there is nothing I can do to make it go back to the way it was. Update 3. It has been a month since the wedding was canceled. Haley and Nathan have ended their relationship, and Haley had the audacity to try to reconcile with Jared. She called him, apologizing for what she had done and asking if there was another chance with him, and with that, possibility of forgiveness. Yaret blocked her number after that and told us that she might even try to visit us. Fortunately, none of that has happened, though that was only a week ago. Nathan still believes he hasn't done anything wrong and isn't talking to anyone. Or rather, no one is talking to him. We don't know where he is, and that worries me. But I don't think I should extend an olive branch. This is how things are right now, and now that everything has settled, I guess this is how it will be in the future too. I never thought my family would have to go through something like this, but I guess fate had other plans. and I can't do anything but stand firm in what I know is right. Update 4. Today, Haley came to our house. It was a visit we didn't expect, despite the warning, and to be honest, it was a bit awkward. Sophia and I were in the living room when we heard a knock on the door. When I opened it, I was surprised to see her there with red and swollen eyes as if she had been crying. She asked to talk to us, and although my first reaction was to ask her to leave, Sophia looked at me and suggested we listen to her. So we let her in. We sat in the living room, and Haley started to talk. She said she had come to apologize for all the damage she had caused our family. She acknowledged that what she had done was wrong, that she knew she was cheating on Jared, and worse, with his own brother, but assured us that she never intended to hurt anyone. She told us that she had fallen in love with Nathan, that the feelings had arisen in a way she couldn't control, and that she didn't know how to handle the situation. She said the weight of guilt had become unbearable for her, so much so that she couldn't continue living like that. That's why she had decided to break up with Nathan definitively, because she couldn't continue in a relationship that had started in such a dirty and painful way for everyone involved. When she finished speaking, there was a long silence in the room. Sophia looked at me, waiting for me to say something, so I took the floor. I told Haley that I appreciated her coming to apologize. It was evident that she was going through a difficult time. However, I also told her that although I appreciated her apologies, I couldn't forgive her. I explained that the pain she had caused our family couldn't be erased with a few words. She knew perfectly well what she was doing when she decided to cheat on Yaret, and worse, when she chose to do it with his own brother. It wasn't an impulsive mistake. It was a conscious and deliberate betrayal. I told her that she had destroyed more than just a relationship. She had broken the trust and harmony in our family, and that wasn't something that could be easily repaired, if it could be repaired at all. Haley started crying again, and although it hurt to see her like that, I held my ground. I told her there was nothing we could do for her, that she would have to face the consequences of her actions on her own. Sophia didn't say anything, but it was clear that she agreed with me. Finally, Haley got up, muttered a final, "I'm sorry," and left with her head down. When she was gone, Sophia and I stayed silent for a long time. We knew we had done the right thing, but that didn't make the situation any less painful. Update 5. Things have taken an unexpectedly happy turn amid all this family chaos. Yaret has given us the news that he is getting married. He introduced us to his girlfriend a few months ago, Mariam, charming and caring woman with whom we all immediately bonded. When he told us about the wedding, everyone in the family was excited and filled with joy for him, especially my father. When Dad heard the news, he wasted no time in offering Yaret the fund that was rightfully his, as well as the fund that had originally been for Nathan. It was clear that he wanted to ensure that Yaret and his future wife had the best possible start in their life together. Yaret, always sensible, decided to use his own fund to pay for the wedding and use Nathan's fund as a down payment on a house where he could start his new married life. Seeing Yaret so happy and excited filled us with pride and relief. After everything that had happened, he was finally getting the happiness and stability he so deserved. Sophia and I have been involved in the preparations, helping wherever we can and enjoying every moment of this new chapter in his life. However, not everything has been so simple. A few days ago, I received a call from my sister. She was very happy for Yaret and congratulated us on the upcoming wedding. But then, the tone of the conversation changed. She told me that Nathan had been trying to get in touch with the family, apparently to apologize and try to mend the relationships he had broken. My sister told me that while some were willing to listen to him, most were turning their backs on him. I thanked my sister for telling me and said that for now, my focus is on Yaret and making sure he has the wedding he's always dreamed of. I can't allow the drama with Nathan to overshadow this important moment for him. After hanging up, I was left thinking about how complicated everything had become. It's hard to see a child stumble so hard, but I also know that I can't let his mistakes continue to affect the family, especially now that Jared is about to start a new chapter in his life. For now, all we can do is support Jared.